Oh, good morning, guys, and how are you doing today? And girls as well. My Qwiizlab dock is now dead. Thank you so much for cheap cameras. This thing's been working absolutely awesome for a year and about a month, until this morning when I turned on my Mac and my hard drives were kind of like off and on, and I was like, what? Because this thing supports an NVMe and a SATA SSD. So, of course, I've had drives in there for over a year. Everything's been fine, and I, used the card reader to transfer my stuff from my DSLR across into my Mac, and, once in a while I'd use the Type-C port for something, and the Type-A, of course, I use for this little piece of garbage that we're going to do an update review on later, because well, every time you turn on your computer and this thing is hooked in, of course it was plugged into the hub, thankfully, okay, there's a little red light that goes on saying, hey, power, and I'm on standby. And yeah, apparently, yeah, it didn't go on this morning. And I'm like, what's going on here? And what's going on with my drives? And I start, I unplugged this thing and rebooted my Mac, and same thing, everything's going nuts, right? And it didn't even bark yet about my front ports. So anyways, I thought, okay, well, no big deal, and we'll troubleshoot stuff. And checked my power supply. Yep, light's still on, and cable's still connected. Everything's good at the back of the Mac. And I even tried switching to a different cable that's Type-C to Type-C power cable that I know is for power, and no, that's not fixing it. Take out the drives, fire it back up. Oh, not enough power to supply the ports. And I'm like, you got 3 amps going into you, honey. You got lots of power. Apparently not. Whether I had the power supply connected or not, same error. So that tipped me off. This is dead because this went and died and shorted out. And luckily, it did not harm my Mac at all. I got very lucky on this. Don't buy cheap freaking garbage and hook it up to your computer. Anyway, so yeah, it's dead. So I checked on my warranty availability on this thing, and not that they would probably do anything, but Amazon, you never know, right? So I checked, and of course, turns out that because this thing was imported from the States, I only got 3 months on it. I should have bought the extended warranty, fed into that whole 3 or 4 year thing, and then I would have been fine, and probably could have just gotten a replacement and wouldn't have to fork out any cash for a new one. But, of course, Kevy didn't want to do that because he figured, well, hey, you know what? If it goes 3 months, 3 months. If it goes 6 months, 6 months. It's gone about a year and a month, and it would have gone for probably several more years had I not plugged this camera in. And I should have actually realized something was up the other day when I was trying to cut a video with this thing, because I had a momentary glitch that has never happened with this camera since I got it. And I've done quite a few videos with this thing. And I thought nothing of it. I thought, well, maybe just because I've been at it for 10 hours straight trying to do a bloody video. Because, yeah, I don't do scripts and stuff. I'm kind of an on-the-fly kind of guy. But anyway, it straightened out and it was fine, and I've done a bunch of videos since with it, and it's been okay until this morning. And no power light is one thing I did notice. So I plugged this thing into my other computer, because I got 2 other laptops here as well, plus a iMac that I'm doing this video on right now with my father's Logitech 1080p webcam. And oh no, no power. It's like, that's interesting. So we got no juice. The thing hasn't moved, hasn't dropped, none of that. But it turns out that when this thing died, it took out the entire hub with it. So luckily that I can even mount either one of the hard drives, at least for a few seconds, and they crap out, right? So, and then when I remove the hard drives, well, SSDs, so sorry, children who are politically correct, piss off. Anyways, so when I removed the SSDs out, hooked it back up, now it says it has not enough power to run the front ports. I'm like, well, that's new. Okay, so, but it kept knocking off the drives. So I thought, okay, well, let's put one drive back in and see what happens, And again, doesn't matter what we do, this thing is history. It's toast. I'm going to actually take it apart and see what makes it tick, since I got no warranty anyway and it's dead. Maybe I can figure out what went boom in it. But it's not accepting power from an outside source anymore, which it is a powered hub, and you should be using powered hubs, obviously. The cabling that they give you with this, you get a small, short Type-C to Type-C, so between it and your computer, and the other port on the back is actually for your power supply. And you can run as many amps as you want into it. It's only going to be that much better for it, because the more amps you can get to all your ports. Because see, a Type-C port draws 900. Card readers draw about 896. Okay, and there's 2 of them. And then all your Type-A ports never draw more than 500. And the same for your output on the back of your Mac or PC. You'll have the same outputs. Even Thunderbolt, which is what we have, which Thunderbolt and Type-C, same connection, different bus data line trees. Even Thunderbolt only provides 900 milliamps, and Type-A's provide 5, right? So it doesn't make any sense that you would use the cable included and go from your Type-A port on the back of your Mac, losing a port, to power this thing separately. You get an external power supply, which they do say you can do, and which is what I have had on this thing for over a year, and it's been fine until the camera decided to actually take a hit and go and took the hub with it. That hub is more sensitive than my Mac is, obviously. So all my Mac ports are all fine. We know this. It's absolutely clean. There's no problems. I tried hooking in my dad's Logitech camera to a Type-C to Type-A adapter cable, because I only have 1 port free on the Mac. I can do 720, but it won't even fire the thing up for 1080, which it would work on a Type-A direct connection for 1080, but I won't get more than, I think it was only like 11 minutes or something recording time. It was pathetic. But on 720 I can go forever. Now, it is an older Logitech 1080p webcam, and it is sitting on my 2009 iMac right now doing this video, and I can sit here and I can gab at you guys for 50 hours straight and it will not bark, okay? But it's an older Mac, older bus line, and so is the camera, an older device with an older bus line. So I don't know what it is about newer Macs that doesn't like my Logitech camera for 1080p recording, but whatever. This thing, the red power light, should be on at all times, even if you're not using it. A secondary light comes on when you're recording. Well, I don't get either light, so we know that this is dead. And by testing it on another computer, we also know this is dead. So this is the cause, likely, of taking down the hub. The power supply I actually have running right now, charging my iPad. So I know the power supply isn't the issue. And I also used its own Type-C to Type-C cable that came with it, because it is a power cable, not a data cable, and it will charge my Logitech keyboard from that power supply with its own cable. So I know that's not the issue. It's the camera that caused all this. And this is what I'm going to tell you guys and girls. Don't put cheap, crappy equipment into your Mac directly or even into a hub, because you do chance blowing stuff up. Obviously, the camera decided, I've had enough, and yeah, I'm going to short out and die and take what I can with me. So it decided, okay. And even when you take the drives out, still power this, or even not, it'll still say there's not enough power to run the front ports, period, off the bus direct or direct with separate power. So obviously, when it took down this hub, it even took down my power input section, or it took some section out that powers the other side. Something's wrong, but there's no fixing this. But I still want to see what makes it tick, since I got no warranty anyway. I may end up buying another Qwiizlab, but I'll certainly never ever plug anything cheap into the front end ever again. You know what I mean? And you do have to watch SSD drives, and even this will support HDD SATA or SSD SATA. I do the SSD because it's faster, right? And it does also support the NVMe M.2 drives, but you're only going to get X amount of speed because it is Type-C porting after all. So pretty slow compared to direct Thunderbolt. Maybe I'll find a Thunderbolt hub that'll be really cool. But I do have to replace with a card reader because I kind of really need my card reader. As far as my drives go, my 1480 SATA SSD is sitting in an external case, and I just leave it turned off. It's on a different hub that is still working fine. And but that hub doesn't have a card reader. It's just nothing but Type A ports. So anyways, so that works. So, but at least I got my files that I need on my Mac off of the two drives, and it's onto my internal drive now on my Mini. So at least I can still function perfectly fine. My hassle is now for being able to take footage off my DSLR until I get a replacement going on. I'm going to have to take the footage from the DSLR, copy it over to the 2009, and then copy it back off from the SD card onto a USB stick or a drive. It's the only option I have at this point because I'm broke right now. I'm out of money, so I can't afford to replace my hub for I don't know how long. It's going to be a while. So I'm kind of going to be a little, on that sort of thing. But hey, you know what? Stuff breaks, I mean, it's just the way life goes, right? Nothing's guaranteed forever, and some stupid stuff can happen. And yeah, well, we did find out what this sold for new, and it still should have been an okay camera, but apparently when it dies, it takes your computer components with it. So be very careful on cheap cameras, for webcams anyway. Anyway, that's pretty much what I got for you on this. So I'm not going to say that this is an update review. I'm just calling it my Qwiizlab USB dock died today. And then you can find out why, of course, as you just have. So that'll be our title for this video, is it's dead. Do stay tuned, though, because we're going to do an update video on this little sucker, too. And let you know what we really think about it as a separate video. Because it is a good camera. It's just, it for some reason decided to fail, and it took out my really expensive hub with it. Anyway, that's it. That's all. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And just keep in mind, if you're going to buy a hub for your computer, Mac or PC, make sure it's a powered hub. Okay? It is apparently a lot safer too. Not just that you get power properly to your devices, but when a device, in this case, goes down, at least it took out the hub and not the computer, because yeah, computers are expensive. So there you go. See ya.